It's one thing to become close to somebody, but to not leave you out of the equation. When you're being left out of the equation, talk has been talked. Tell us about Lebu. Go to the question box before you did this thing here. You just said, now my pride will not let me fix things. Now the pride where we go work on, okay? If we work on it, everything can move on from there. If the person go and sleep with your husband, we're not in the same group chat. You cannot now say if they go and catch you cheating, you say it's my single friend that led me to. For example, now, as I don't tell you when I say some of my closest friends, they married. So if they abandoned, that's how I'll be friendless. That doesn't make sense. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited. Can you guys tell? It's a let's chat video. I love it when we chat. Guys, I love these chit chats. I always legit feel like we're having a conversation because I'm answering questions that you guys have asked me, and some of them are so detailed. I just love them a lot. And today we're going to be talking about friendships. Honestly, on Instagram, I just said, guys, what do you guys want me to talk about? I didn't even it wasn't like a Q&A post. Like sometimes when I want to do Q&As, I post on my stories and I'm like, guys, ask me questions. This time around, I was like, guys, what topic do you want me to talk about? That was how that post went. Came back 3 hours later, about 50% of the entries I had gotten at that point were all on friendships. Dimma, talk about friendships. Dimma, talk about friendships. I had to put up another post and I'm like, I'm getting a lot of you asking me to talk about friendships. But then I think that for me to actually tackle it now, I would need like detailed, maybe kind of specific questions so that, you know, it feels like we're chatting, okay? So I did another post and a lot of you started asking me questions on friendships, about different things, making friends, friendship breakups, like just adult friendships, a lot of things. And I'm really excited about this video. I'm not in any way an expert, but then again, I'm also not a child. I'm not a youngin. And I think that there are some of these questions here that I know that I can confidently answer from my own perspective, from an angle of experience. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Okay, we're going to get right into it. I have my questions here. Everything is on my tablet and I'm just going to scroll through, take them one after the other. I also do not want this video to be too long. So what I want to do is to answer maybe about 20-25 questions maximum. I might end up answering more, but then my hope as I'm starting is 20-25, okay? So just glancing through, doing a quick scroll, I think that a lot of these questions are very personal to some of the people who have asked. And with Q&As, sometimes I mention the names like of the handles before I start answering their questions. I will not be doing that in this video. So I will just read out the question and then go on ahead to give an answer, okay? I have a lot of questions here on friendship breakups. I think that if you divide the questions on friendship, like at least a solid 30% is on navigating just breakups, like friendship breakups, when you feel like it's run its course, when you're no longer comfortable and all of that. And I don't want to start out with that. I'll start out with another question, but at a point where I encountered this question again, then I'll delve into it properly, okay? The first question here I have here is actually from a friend, and she's asking, how can I be a better friend to you? It's one of those unexpected questions because honestly, I did not expect her to type in this box, but it's also a very nice question. To be honest, for me, I'm not a high maintenance type of person, especially when it comes to friendships, right? I can go months without talking to certain people. And when we connect, we talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. The most important thing for me is just your presence. Like whenever I think about it and who you are to me, it's reassuring. It's so crazy because this question is making me think. And that's the reason why I was like, when I got it. It's just me thinking about you, feeling assured and knowing that with you, like it's a safe space and there is no judgment, like harsh judgment most of the time. And even if I am called out for something that I have done wrong, I know that from you is going to come with love. Does this make sense? Do you think that it's a solid enough response to this question? So I'm just actually asking because there's always someone here. Susu is always here when I record. So I also like it sometimes because when I'm doing Q&A, sometimes when I talk, I look to her and then she's kind of nodding or saying something. But yeah, this person is asking, I have few female friends here in Lagos. How do I get to make girlfriends since I work remotely? This is a very good question, because also what I do is considered kind of remote work, like largely, even the nature of it. It's always me, my computer, my camera in some degree. That's how a lot of remote workers actually work, okay? One thing, and this goes, for me, it's applicable to everything, even relationships, is that just most of the time, you make a friend within a social environment, okay? Socializing is key. Just leaving your house, even if it is not a social environment, it could be somebody, like people run into their boyfriends. When I was just reading a book where she met her best friend, where they went to throw out trash, both of them came out at the same time. The thing is, it's just not going to happen in your house with you inside, okay? Sometimes you can also become friends just with someone because you guys have a mutual friend, like things like that happen. But if you're also saying you don't have a lot of friends in Lagos and your work is remote, I think that just maybe socialize more, just go out. It doesn't even have to be your very close friends now that have invited you out for something, but sometimes even if you're not invited, you try to tag along. It depends on how you really need something. I've had situations where I'd be like, oh, what are people doing, please include me, right? And then you're included in those type of activities, and then you can come back from it like having made a very intense connection with people there or with someone. It's just not going to happen in your house. It just has to involve you leaving the house to a certain degree. I understand this so well because I also moved to Lagos in 2017. I did not grow up here. A lot of the people who I consider friend or I kind of know already have existing social groups. They went to secondary school here. They have friends who are legit their own tribe. Do you understand? And then you come here, you don't have all those things, and you're just like low-key trying to find a place that is safe enough for you to fit in, because it's not just about finding your tribe or finding friends. It also has to be safe, because there are people who will gladly use you to get what they want. I think that this is my one great tip because I think it's worked for me. So this next one is asking, how do you know if you truly connect with a friend? A lot of these questions that I'm getting, they're very good, and all these questions are just making me think, because sometimes you find yourself in situations where you've labeled somebody friend, but it feels like you people are floating, yeah? You feel like it doesn't run deep. One particular thing I feel like is always present in very genuine connection, like when there's a proper connection as it should be, is vulnerability. Your ability to share and be vulnerable with this person. Sometimes shared experiences as well. And you people being able to talk about certain things and actually connect. But then for you to be able to talk about certain things with someone and for that connection to follow, you have to be vulnerable enough to share. So I think it's something to explore. Start with things that might not necessarily mean like if it gets out, like the whole world is going to know. Maybe even phobias, like saying, oh, I don't really like this. And sometimes we'll be like, oh, really? You guys might now begin to talk about things that make them feel the way that thing makes you feel. I just feel like just vulnerability is a key factor. I'm also not a friendship expert. Okay? You people should bear in mind that everything I'm saying here, it's me also kind of doing a lot of thinking and trying to connect it to experiences that I have had, okay? Okay. The next question I have here is how not to be jealous of friends who are more successful than you. Okay, so this is actually a very good question, and I love that these questions are making me think. But then I did a video recently on how to improve your confidence and self-esteem. That video is going to be linked in the description box. And I'm going to say a few things about this now. I personally have not been, and this is me keeping it 100 with you guys, I've actually not struggled with jealousy within the context of female platonic relationships, like relationship with women, right? It's not something that I struggle with. However, I know that this is a very, very valid problem for some of my favorite people. And for me, I really don't know what it is because I've thought about it. What I would say, if this is something you genuinely struggle with, okay, because when I tell you people that this is not a thing for me, like I have thought about it. I've even remembered like sometimes where, let's say I've had issues with some people in the past and people are trying to settle the matter, or someone comes in trying to waiting to kind of figure out where we are at. And when they begin to investigate, I'm always confused, and they also realize that it's never about like, because jealousy is always why you but not me. Do you understand? The person poses some sort of threat, and that emotion is one of those emotions where, whether we like it or not, what we feel about the person we are jealous about is a direct reflection of what we think of ourselves. That's the thing about jealousy. And the reason why I referenced that how to feel confident and how to improve your self-esteem in video that I'm going to have linked in the description box is that in that video I kind of talked about a bunch of things, but a very, very important one or fact or point that I want to raise again from that video is to reflect and actually at certain points in your life try to understand why you feel the way you feel about certain things. right? Why does this person's success, why does it bother you so much? And friendships is such a beautiful thing because you want your friends and your loved ones to hold space for you. Not only when you're going through something difficult, but also when you're going through something very happy. I want to be happy to the fullest extent and talk to you about things that I am happy about without worrying about how it makes you feel. And whether you like it or not, like, see, for me, people who I know I'm able to come to and tell that if I hit $1 million now, I'm able to call them and say I've hit $1 million. Trust me, those people hold a special place in my heart because I know they hold space for that type of joy for me. Do you understand? So try to understand what it is about, like, what does that person's progress, even if it's, let's say, marriage, like, because I've also seen situations where people who have ended up getting partnered or getting married will tell you that things really changed, like when they partnered up, and they will give you very specific reasons as to why. Do you understand? This happened, like, or behaviors or like passive aggressive things that they started seeing, because it signifies something to you. And what it does is that it is hitting at a place that you're not confident about, you're very, very insecure about, and then because it now exists for somebody else that is somebody else that you love or who is your friend, you attach it to them being automatically better than you. That is also not what it means largely. Do you understand? Because life is so dynamic and somebody can be experiencing a very, very good thing, but that does not make you less. Do you understand? It is to tackle the root of that. Why does someone else's success, why does it pose some sort of threat to you? I think that it's very important, and I hope that I kind of answered this question well, but I think that this is as much as I can answer it at this point. Do you understand? The best thing for you to do is to figure out why. Like I also said in that video, we tend to consider ourselves above certain emotions. We don't want to give it a name. Like, we don't want to call it what it is and be like, okay, I am a jealous person. Because for you to stop being like that, you have to first acknowledge to yourself that you're like that. Okay? Very important. Give it a name. Ask yourself why. And if you actually unpack it most of the time, and it's the thing about bringing things to light, when you actually bring it out and give it a name, you actually begin to see the small aspects of it that you have control over and begin to try to exercise that control. I think it will really help. Okay, so somebody is asking, what do I look out for in true friendship? What does it look like to have a real friend? Wow! Like, see, I'm just smiling because these questions are so good. Okay, so I think that for me, it also touches to one of the first earlier replies I gave, and vulnerability is like people who are vulnerable with you and who make room for you to be vulnerable as well. That's one. People who are there. And sometimes some of us also think that there's only one way of being there for someone. We think like if they are not able to do something, if they are not able to give money, if they are not able to bring themselves there at that particular point in time, something is wrong with the way that person is being there for me. But then again, I think that there's so much discourse around love languages in romantic relationships that we also forget that at the end of the day, even our friends have dominant love languages. There are ways that they like to receive love, and there are ways that they know best how. Like, it comes easier for them to also show love as well. It's also important to know which one it is for your friends. And what tends to happen is that for somebody like me, I am a gift giving, I've said it before, high. And people think it's cliche sometimes when women say it, but even my female friends can attest to you that if the going gets tough, I'm one of those people who ask, do you have enough money? Do you have enough resources? I'm looking for other ways outside of my words and reassurance of telling you that I am there, because to me that is what tends to carry weight, and in my own way I am really trying. Whereas somebody else I know is not like that, will be asking you things like, I am here for you, I'm ready to talk, I am like, they are ready to do a type of emotional labor that me self, I'm not going to lie to you, I might not be ready to do. And that is their own way of being there. It is you understanding people and also knowing that people are not, like, it's not a black and white thing sometimes. So bear this in mind and no, like, so if someone is able to actually, in their best possible way to you, your knowledge of who they are trying their best to be there for you, that person really, really wishes you well. Do you understand? People also keep to what they say, like talk and do. It's very, very important. I also think that empathy is also something that is very, very important when it comes to friendship. People who are able to exercise that towards you, because sometimes they don't know what empathy is, right? You've seen them give it to people. If you also see that for some weird ass reason, it's not something that you're offered, when it's your own turn, think closely about that, right? Just these things, I feel like these are some that really stand out to me. I think that are very important. There's one trait though that I think I'll still touch on it again later, because I've seen questions here that would make me kind of speak on this more heavily. Is I think that this is a more general thing, but also how people speak of other people sometimes is a very good indicator as to like just the kind of person you're building this relationship with, right? Sometimes somebody can fixate on one particular person or one particular experience, and they're telling you or talking negatively, right, about a particular person, about a particular experience stemming from a very particular experience with them. That's kind of fair enough. They feel that way. But then if somebody has a pattern of almost every single person you see them know talking about them a certain way, don't be fooled and think that it won't touch you at a point. I'll get into this much later. But the way people talk about others is also very important, because sometimes I've also seen narcissists, they're very good. With narcissists, sometimes I feel like they're very good at learning what is socially acceptable. So they do it, they put it your way. You're not looking closely, investigating certain things. And because they're kind of bombing you with certain things, you're being like, okay, they're saying these things about these people to me because they like me special. Not really. Just pay close attention to know if there's a pattern there. So someone is asking me about friendship. I should talk about friendship in the influencer space. I really don't know within what angle. It's a very broad question, isn't it? So I don't know how to tackle it. But then again, I feel like outside of the influencer space, everything in life, everything has to be organic. Friendships, do not try to force anything. Do not try to use people because of what you possibly think that you can gain from them. Because I think that maybe sometimes when this conversation within this particular context comes up is around the area of use, it's around the area of it being forced and all of that. Don't do those things. Okay, like I said, this is a very broad question and I wish it was more specific so that I would know how to speak on it, but yeah. So someone is saying, so how do I handle a friendship fallout, and is it wise to rekindle the friendship? I always think that the rekindling of a friendship is always dependent on how the initial fallout happened or what led to the initial fallout. You cannot tell me now that if your very best friend goes and kills your dog or goes and kills a family member, right, you will just rekindle it because of the sake of rekindle. I don't know if I'm making any sense. But if it's like a trivial thing, there are also so many factors involved. But then again, I think it's also at somebody's discretion. It's at your own personal discretion, because we all have different hearts. We're all in different spaces mentally or mental health wise. You also know what you can afford to continue dealing with. Especially, let us say, if you're at the receiving end or if you're at the receiving end of something negative. Do you understand? So I think that you rekindling is always very dependent on, first of all, what led to the fallout. Second of all, you people also talking about, because I feel like there's also this thing sometimes where you say that, oh, we're back to being friends again, but you people did not address some of the things that led to the actual fallout. Like clockwork, it repeats itself again. So it's a constant pattern or cycle for you people. Make peace. Like, honestly, peace is something that I'd recommend, but then again, there has to be boundaries, there has to be some level of maturity, there has to be an openness, and issues have to be addressed. Okay, I feel like a lot of advice when it comes to relationship is so focused on romantic relationships, but a lot of them also apply to platonic relationships as well. You people's ability to resolve conflicts and come out of it like level-headed people, seeing each other's sides, it will speak a lot on the longevity of that relationship. So that's kind of it. Okay, have you had to make new friends in the last 1 to 2 years? If yes, please advise on how to go about it as a woman in her late 20s. I'm actually thinking about this now, and the last 1 to 2 years is very specific. Actually, I have not really made any strong, like serious new friendships in the last 1 to 2 years. And for me, there are very personal reasons, because if you are following me on this channel, I see 2021 and 2022, I was dealing with a lot, right? There was a lot going on in my life in so many ways, mentally, physically. There was just a lot, right? And this past 2 years for me has been a period of going inward. So actually, when you're going through certain things, what you want to do is to gather and like kind of secure your unit. You want to have your solid, like people who are tried and tested, not even tried and tested, I'm not trying anybody, but people who you really trust surrounding you with all the, like, because they will shield you and they're a safe space for you. And it's not like I've been against it, it's just that I have not had the time, do you understand, to kind of maybe pursue it the way I would have before 2 years ago. I've also told you guys, like in my 20s, so Fejiro, who is, I talk about her a lot, and she's going to come and yimu me now when she watches this video, but I met Fejiro when I was 23 23. No, I met Pedro when I was 22 actually. She was a friendship from my 20s and it's been over 10 years now and we are legit BFFs, like, you know. But then I pursued that friendship. I'm the kind of person that if I like you, and I know that people are generally shy, and I have tried, I'm still trying, shy, I will. Because I feel like most of the time, like, I will say hi to you, I'll try to engage you in conversations, I will talk. When I became friends with Pedro, I had just come to Lagos to do my NYSC, and one angle that I remember using to my own advantage was I didn't know Lagos. She seemed to know Lagos more than I remember. One time we were trying to go to Ikeja City Mall, and she was trying to describe Third Mainland Bridge to me. I was like, oh, what are you doing on Saturday? Are you free? Instead of describing it to me, come in the car, let us drive, so that you will show me exactly where Third Mainland Bridge is. These are some of the activities we kind of got into. And she was open to it. So for me, it's also shooting friendship shots. We talked about this with FK, we talked about this with Jola, but it is shooting friendship shots and being open to receiving them as well. Right? When someone says hi to you, say hi back. If they repeatedly say hi to you back, you know, like, I'm always open. Do you get? For me, I'm open. I'm like, okay, let's see how it goes. I don't dismiss, so try not to dismiss immediately. And just give some, so I think the word is benefit of doubt. Yeah, not the word, the term. Yeah, I think exercise that or apply that when you begin dealing with someone new. Yeah, so someone here, so this is a very detailed question, and thankfully Instagram didn't scatter it too much. 2 of my close friends that I introduced got so close and left me out of the equation. Combining all the heartbreaks I've had, the hurt cannot reach what I felt during that betrayal. I was vomiting, reacting, sick and tired of life. These were 2 good friends who I genuinely loved. But since that time, I've found it hard to be open to new friendships. It's hard to trust. I run away from anything that can hurt like that again. How do you think I can overcome this? Okay, this is the worst nightmare I think for territorial people when it comes to friendship, because you're like, oh, if I did not even introduce them in the first place, we would not be here. Do you understand? But what I want you to understand is that people have free will. And if they went behind your back, knowing that you were the one thing that kind of even bound them together. And I feel like for you to also, it's one thing to become close to somebody, but to not leave you out of the equation. When you're being left out of the equation, talk has been talked, okay? And they've decided that you should be left. Okay, so when they decide to leave in the equation, you have to now at that point actually reflect on how strong were our bonds in the first place. Do you understand? What purpose did I even serve? Like, I think you think of all these things and use it and hold body and make peace, because at the end of the day, it's free will. And I get it on how this scars you, but then again, you don't know. You could find somebody who you will be friends with this year who will show you that what you actually had with those people was not friendship. And I get that it's hard, but then that's the thing about life. You have to constantly open yourself up with the hope. It's a faith and hope thing. You keep hoping that what is coming is better than what was left behind. And I'll just encourage you to think about it like this. I'm really sorry that you feel this way and that you've had to deal with this. But then again, what they decided to do you understand? Because I'm sure that if you call the 2 of them and ask you, they have their own, and ask them what happened, their own version is probably very long. And be like, oh, maybe they can, you know, the way people talk and be like, oh, she was doing this, Do you get? Like I said, for 2 people to leave you behind, do you wear the topic sentence of some of their conversations at a point? How do you feel about that? Okay, so someone is saying how to get intentional as a friend, especially when life gets busy and you guys are oceans apart. I think you have to be very deliberate about it. At this point, it is, I don't even have any shame. I will call XYZ in a calendar. I will write it down. Do you understand? The older you get, especially when families start getting into it, the more, listen, it can get hard. There is no shame at this point for you making notes down, writing things down, notes birthdays, plan certain things around them. Write it down like, I have not had lunch with this person. Put it down in the calendar, I want to call. Give yourself actual visual reminders. It will help you a lot, especially if you really cherish and appreciate what you have with those people, right? Actually, let's say if there's because you said oceans, I'm thinking different continents, and if there's a time difference as well, it can get difficult. This is why you need to make notes. It will help you guys navigate that entire situation. Do you get? But I don't think that there's any shame in that. Be very intentional, reach out to them. Sometimes it's just asking, are you okay? What do you need? Even if something has happened and they've downplayed it and they make it so minor, it's you checking up again, sometimes double check. Because I do this with my friends and be like, are you really okay? Know that I am here and I can listen and I can do whatever it is you want me to do. it goes a long way. Even if people are not talking all the time, the fact that you've offered to do certain things, like, it helps. It's you being intentional, showing the person like what they actually mean to you. So try. That's a very good way, I think, to kind of navigate a situation like that. Okay, so the next one is, have you ever had to deal with friendship breakups? If yes, how did you handle it? Also, if you've had a great friendship for years, should one mistake cost you the friendship? So this question is in two parts. The first one is, yes, I have had friendship breakups, and at least 3 that I remember over the course of, like, let's say my late teens to this stage in my life. The first one for me, just to sum it up, it was around selfishness, to be honest. I'm one of those people, like, I can be doing and doing and doing, I'm not talking. And I'm also not pointing out the things that I am doing. But then again, the thing with people who keep checks and balances in a certain type of way in their head sometimes is that they're very conscious of what they feel like they are doing for people, but the things that others are doing for them doesn't even register most of the time, to the point of, like, entitlement. So it doesn't carry any weight to them. I remember that one, there was a whole conversation, because when you actually now start tabling a lot of things, it comes as a shock to them, because you see that it's not registering. So for me, the first was due to selfishness, and we tried to have a conversation about it. To be honest, we were very, very young, just moved past it, and that was it. Everybody called it a day, right? The second one for me also ties to this whole, a little bit, some of it was selfishness, but then a very, very good important factor with that particular one was also talk. It's about how someone has spoken to you, what they've said about you. And it's also not surprising, to be honest, when I started thinking about that situation in retrospect. It wasn't that I have not seen them talk about people like that, for example. I don't know how, but then I feel like sometimes when you're in a relationship with somebody, you kind of fool yourself into thinking that this will not touch you. It's the same thing that they'll tell women sometimes. Men who are particularly vile, like, say very, very degrading things about women or certain people, you kind of convince yourself that you're particularly special, and that even if anything should happen between the two of you, that the man is not going to react like that. Like, and then it actually hits you, realize, oh, that you are not just so special. Like, in the presence of conflict or disagreement, or where they feel like they're entitled to certain things, they will just process things however. So with that particular incident, I remember that we tried to have a conversation around it, and I don't know how to explain it. It's just that we're just not close anymore, and we just grew apart. There's also growing apart, especially sometimes when things take too long to resolve. Most of the time, you can never come back into it seamlessly. Do you understand? And then the last one, to be honest, so this is the one here, because I've gotten a lot of questions about narcissists and narcissism. Since sometimes when you're dealing with narcissists, I also believe that a very, very good thing to do is to create distance. That's how I remember navigating that third one. So all of this also ties into one of my earlier responses, where I said it depends on what actually led to the fallout, what led to the breakup. That will dictate, to be honest, how it is handled and managed, and if there's a possible resolution in sight. The second part of this question said, should one mistake cost the entire friendship? It also depends on what that mistake is. For example, right, certain things that might be said out of anger or resentment, I can see us wading through that and talking about it and trying to navigate that. If the person go and sleep with your husband, we're not in the same group chats again. For example, if the person goes out of their way to plan something very, very evil and particularly vindictive, there are people that can plan, that they will plan to show you shaggy. There's also a kind of planning, I'll be like, okay, maybe if you, I don't know how to explain it. Okay, this will kind of maybe show the person, okay, like how it feels to do what they did. There's another one of like a type of planning. Although I'm not in support of any type of planning, okay? I don't have that kind of energy. But there's another type of planning where people will go out of their way to break you. And sometimes if you're now looking at their response in correlation to what you actually done, it's not gelling. Okay? Do you get? So it also depends. So it depends. Okay? Okay. So somebody saying, I'm not selfish, but friendships is a lot. Do we really need friends for every facet of our lives? And to be honest, let me tell you something. I feel this babe. I feel her so much, and I understand where she's coming from with this question. There's a lot of conversation on social media now about like female friendships, prioritizing them, and also building your tribe. Very, very valid. And I always nod my head vigorously, especially when this is brought up within the context of like, sometimes you see women who will publicly come out and say, I don't like women. I don't have female friends. I prefer men to women, right? And they always imply when they say these things that if something is wrong with the whole gender. For me, sometimes something is wrong with you, Do you understand? So when this conversation is within that particular context, I'm like, you need women. There are certain things you're going through that a woman can only understand. We can communicate by looking at each other just in a room full of men sometimes. So I think that sisterhood is so fulfilling. The kind of fulfillment it gives you is not something that romantic relationships can replace. Do you understand? But then I also understand the importance of making it clear that in the absence of you not having found your tribe, or you not having women in your life who you have this with yet, that does not also signify that something is wrong with you. I would rather stay on my own and be praying to my God and managing whatever I have until the type of fulfilling friendship I want comes my way than chasing after it and running into a lot of skedaddles. Do you understand what I'm saying? So basically what I'm saying is you really don't. There is so much, especially for young women like us, we get into our heads sometimes about, but some of your more fulfilling relationships in this, like female friendships in this, they are yet to happen. Some of my mom's closest friends that I know she is friends with by the virtue of motherhood, like by giving birth. So I know that some of her friends she became friends with when she had me or when she had my sister, or they gave birth in the same hospital, or they attended one program where it was motherhood that brought them together. And a lot of us here are young. A lot of women here are in their 20s. A lot of them are in their late teens, right? So it's not there now, but some of your more fulfilling friendships are actually yet to happen. So I would say patience, right? If you don't have it now, I understand, and it is something that you crave, I understand it, but it's also not something that signifies that something is wrong with you. It also does not signify that you're a selfish person. Do you understand? This one is, I should advise on how to overcome the fear of betrayal and sisterhood and friendships. I think that for any relationship, and I get this is a very, very valid question because this is within the context of friendships, but then I'll also say that the risk of this being present in almost every other type of relationship you have is there. Even at work, right? You are at risk of even a work colleague betraying you. Even within your family, siblings, there is a risk that a sibling can betray you. Even within romantic relationships, there is a risk that a partner can betray you. So it's a fear. You can be cheated on. Like, do you understand? I think that it's as long as it's two people trying to come together, the risk is always kind of there. But then I also don't think that it should prevent you from trying. So try. If there is an opportunity for you to exploit. If it doesn't work out, the next one might. Hopefully you don't have to go through a lot of them. Do you understand? It shouldn't just be one friend throughout your life. You can have one and still get more because you keep yourself open. So it's also that ability to give benefit of the doubt or a doubt and then you being open. I think it's important just think about it, because I feel like sometimes we fixate on friendships and this fear of betrayal as if it's also not a factor that is present in almost every other type of relationship that we have. Your heart will be broken, even if it's at work, your heart will still break. Do you get? But it is for you to just try regardless. How to make friends abroad in your 30s? I really don't even know if I can answer this because I've not been abroad in my 30s trying to make friends. But then again, I think that some of my answers already apply. I also understand how this is a very, very pressing need for like immigrants, because there's a lot of people who are traveling out now. And I know that when I was in school, it wasn't even the easiest thing for me to do. But then I think trying regardless. And I feel like, especially if you're in school, for example, but I don't know, this person in their 30s is probably not in school. But then it's the same thing about going out, giving it a go, trying, being vulnerable. I think that it will help. Tell us about Lebu. Hey, go to the question box before you did this thing here. Hold on. So are you still close friends with your friends from uni? How did you maintain the friendship? I am still in touch with some people from uni and we follow each other on social media and we leave comments and we kind of chat once in a while. Yeah, actually, yes. For some people from uni. But then again, maintaining it is all about that whole intentionality. It's you committing to actually maintaining it. Okay, so yeah. So someone is asking how to break up with a friend peacefully. Conversations, like you guys need to talk. Try and talk. If it's also not talkable, everybody pack your load and go. Because how do you break up with peace? Is the person violent? How friendships change in your 30s. I think late 20s to early 30s is actually a very transitionary. Is that the word? It's a period of a lot of transition for women. I think in short, by your mid-20s, a lot of people have started settling down. Men have come strongly into the mix and dynamics will change. But then again, like some of my bestest friends are married and they've been married for a very, very long time. It's being intentional, is you understanding that they could be going through things that you could not immediately relate to, but that does not make them bad people. It's creating room for them. So it's this thing about creating room. I think that the ability to always make room and understand and try to put yourself in somebody's shoes, largely, if we're all able to exercise it in a lot of situations, it will help. Because there's a lot of transition going on, it's you people being intentional, talking, and if anything happens, talk about it and explain how certain things make you feel. Like sometimes I get into periods where with my friends, I'll be like, oh, you didn't do this and it made me feel like this. I don't have anybody who I see being like, here, why would you feel like that? With all of them, they'll be like, okay, can we talk? Do you understand? It was never my intention. Even if it's something that they feel strongly about, they begin to tell me why. And then maybe I can consider a certain perspective I did not consider as me, I was feeling the offended. And we reach a resolution. So I hope that answered that question. So this person is saying, how do you mend a broken friendship after so many years of quarreling? My pride won't let me fix things. Help. The good thing here is that some people don't know what they will not let them fix things. You just said now, my pride will not let me fix things. Now the pride where we go work on, okay? If we work on it, everything can move on from there. But I honestly, that's the best way for me to answer this question, because you at least are even aware that it is your pride that will not let you fix things. Oh yeah. If it's not coming to you, therapy might help. A therapist might help you, give you actionable steps on what to do in a situation like this. Especially if you're somebody who generally just struggles with pride. Do you get? So somebody here is, hi Dimma, as a married man, is it proper to still keep friendship with single men? Yeah. To be honest, I've even talked about this before in this video. I'm not a big fan of people getting married and abandoning people, both men and women, because they all largely do it. I have seen arguments in favor of some of these things, but for example, now, as I don't tell you when I say some of my closest friends, they married. So if they abandoned, that's how I'll be friendless. That doesn't make sense. Even people I know guys who I know, who within their friendship group, it's a proper mix. Do you understand? They are married men, non-married men, and they go way back. A lot of them, these friendships go way back before they got partnered. You don't expect somebody to dump somebody that they know because husband is not coming or because wife is not coming. So because your friend has not yet found their person who you don't know when God said they will find the person, they are no longer deserving of your friendship. I had to take a deep breath after that answer. It was so long, but guys, no. Yes, I think you can. Sorry, you can. When I say no, I mean no to the whole nonsense. Yes, to the fact that yes, it should be okay. I think that the only grounds for this is, it's also very tricky for me to even say this because you should have agency. You're a whole human being. You cannot now say if they go and catch you cheating, you say it's my single friend that led me to. Do you understand? This is the thing here. Do you get? Even for women, there's certain things that I've also seen like that, and that's a lazier route where sometimes a woman is exercising certain traits. The easier thing is to do and be like, oh, it's her single friends. No, it's not her single friends. Now your wife. Now the thing where she want to be that. Do you understand? And it's not for you to have a conversation with them as to why do you feel that these are things you still need to be doing. I don't like, to me, it's wild to say that you're not talking to somebody again because you're not partnered. So how do you define a friend versus an acquaintance? I have a lot of acquaintances. I think the nature of my job, the industry that I work in, because I have, especially around the time I moved here, Lagos recently, and you're trying to connect with people and you see people multiple times and people do things together and you kind of assume that you guys are actually friends. You're not friends. And life will show you. Experience will teach you that you actually are not. Like friendships are people who you're able to call on the phone and have a proper conversation with. Do you understand? And there are people who you're chummy with, you support you support each other on social media or where it is called for, but you can't have a conversation with them. You can't call them when you need help. If a person who you identify as friend should be somebody you should at least be able to call to have certain types of conversations with. I would say that's me. How should you treat someone who always pretends she's your friend but talks behind you? The way you would treat somebody who is not your friend. This one is very, very simple and black and white. Like you see gossip or like back talk, it's so hurtful, and I think that sometimes we actually try to make it look like it's not as big as a deal as it is. For you to go behind my back and begin to talk about certain things with certain people in a certain way, that means you've tested it out in your mouth, first of all in the bedroom, it flowed. And then you now said, okay, it is now time to no. I just like, this person is not your friend. And sometimes I feel like even with, because this also applies, even with romantic, sometimes we operate from a place of lack. If somebody's talking behind you and you know, when will they stop? I'm not a big fan of that. For me, the person is not my friend and I will limit our interactions. How do you as a Christian manage friendships with people who do not believe in your faith? This is a good question because I have friends who are Muslim. What does Christianity tell you to do? What does it tell you to do? What does it tell you to do? It says to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Even the Jesus we know in the Bible would break bread with people who society already considered other. Please, just as a Christian, just model your life after Jesus. Do you understand? I have friends, or I know that I am friends with people who are Muslim, and I'm cordial with people who are Muslim, and they did their day, I did my day. I will do what I would do for a normal friend for them. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Because at the end of the day, irrespective of what you believe in, your faith already commands and compels you to be a certain way to people. You have to be kind. God did not say you have to be kind to only Christians. God did not say you have to love only Christians. God did not say that you should reserve all the good things that flow out of Christianity for just Christians. For you to actually be and you're able to maintain friendships with people who you feel like you have such fundamental differences with, Christianity compels you to love your neighbor as you love yourself. It did not say you should love Christians as you love yourself. Your neighbor could even be a traditional religious person. Because those ones we automatically consider them to be demons, okay? Without them even saying "pam" to us, okay? But I think that most of the time when we talk about this, a lot of people talk about it within because it was always Islam most of the time. But there are people who do traditional religious practices here. And for some of us and a lot of us who tend to speak a lot of English on social media, they are our grandparents and people from our village and people who we see when we go back to the village. You can't come here and tell us that you don't talk to them. You can't tell us that you don't send them money. Some of you will send money out of your Christian beliefs and they will bless you in the name of the ancestors. And you'll be like, oh, Naim, now wait till you go talk. I don't know if I'm making any sense. But my thing is, model your life after Christ. You as a Christian, you also know what is Christian and non-Christian to do. But then don't go around hating people or saying, oh, I cannot be your friend because this person is not a Christian. I just find that to not be a Christian response to a situation like that. So this is conflict resolution in a friendship if you're confrontational and they are not. This is actually a very good question because I like to talk. And for me, I'm the kind of person who wants to talk about how I feel, and I also want to understand via you talking to me how you feel. And confrontational in this particular context can be so subjective because even me calling for that meeting or making that phone call for somebody who is not confrontational at all or who is not the best communicator is already confrontational. I don't know if I'm making any sense, right? So it is you people being like, we need to talk. Find an avenue or a place where if it is via text though, because some people will be like, okay, if we have this conversation in person, we're going to blow up, let us text. People have to decide a medium for this conversation and have it. And then when you have it, there should be an openness of being like, okay, you speak, this person speak. Navigating ageism in friendships where you're the youngest and least experienced. I have some much older friends and I have friends who are much younger than me. And I don't think that age, I feel like even the way I relate with the much older women, if you see us gisting, nobody's throwing around the age card. I also think that the presence of it, or if you're around people who make you feel it and feel it hard, unprovoked, or you begin to sense it when you're even trying to say it. Because I feel like no matter what your age is, if somebody is your friend, they should be open to even hearing your own inputs to a particular thing. If you're in a situation where you think that it's not carrying any weight because they feel like you're not grown, you're with your aunties and uncles because they're the ones who would, that's the typical Nigerian setup, right? But then I have friendships where it's not like I'm friends with women who are 20 years older than me. And we're able to talk about men, talk about everything. It flows in a very organic way. I think that is the dynamic you should aspire to in a situation like that. Your age should not be in the center. It should not be it should not be something you're very, very conscious of. Obviously, you don't go and be a mumu and begin to talk to them as if they are I can be saying, ma, but that boy. I will call you ma, I will call you auntie. I would the small titles are there, but we're talking about things that I would easily talk about with anybody. And existing you proper is flowing. Do you get? I think that it's easier that way, or you'll be more comfortable when the dynamic is like that, So this is asking Dimma, if your bestie is planning to relocate out of the country without telling you and you find out, what will you do? My bestie, not my friend. It's going to be hard though. I'm actually also a very, very big advocate for people sharing things with me when they are ready, especially if it is something that they are grappling with or is a serious thing. But then again, I also don't think that I will be happy with you telling me when it's over. Or for example, somebody's pregnant and then you don't know, like your bestie, and I'm not saying friend, I said your best friend because bestie is a term for best friend. For example, like, and relocation is a big deal. I don't expect you to call me and tell me the minute you decide, or the minute, let us say, you get your PR or your papers that allow you to move. But then again, I should not know or be told just as you're about to. Because that means that for you, for a very, very long period, which is always mostly months, you were pretending and lying in a lot of the conversations that we were having. It's the principle. The principle. I posted a video on my Instagram. The principle is not quite right. How do I make Christian friends? The easy answer here would be go to church. But please also know that church is like hospital. Some people there are responding to treatment, some people are not. Okay? Some of the best Christian people that you meet also, I didn't meet them inside the church. Some of them you can even meet off of social media. You can still find good people in church. But then again, I would say, I feel like conversations matter. Some people are also church going, but they're not really Christian in the real sense of the word. So this is one of those things I would say you have to study, or you have to look out for certain things and then make your own judgment. Someone is saying, is it important to have the talk before a friendship breakup? I have said that it is important if you can, but then again, I would not say to be in a situation that you do not want to be in because you've not had the talk, or in a situation where like you're legit suffering or someone is actually making you feel bad because you've not had the talk yet. So I have a lot of questions here that I'm just going to morph because I think that this will be the last one about people who compete with you in friendship. And this is also something that I have seen to the point where sometimes it kind of throws me off. I'll never forget like one time, like somebody not telling me that they had done something or they were planning to do something and then called me to announce it just to let me know. It's not like we had talked even 2 weeks before that. But then in her mind, it's a check and balance thing. She also wanted me to know that she was capable of it. And even the way some of these things are delivered, you will know. A lot of you are talking up here about people who copy you, who do things, who are competing with you, and you don't even realize just to what extent that they are doing these things until something happens and you just realize that there's just been like, they are competing with you in their mind. As a result, like when something just kind of happens and removes you from where they've placed you mentally, they have a problem with it. And it's not like you did anything to them. It's like they've placed you in a box and you've moved from that box. Like, how dare you? And it's not a healthy type of dynamic to have with anybody. I don't recommend it. It's also not something I'd say that you should endure. But then I would say just with this type of thing, if you feel that that is something that is happening, maybe look for ways to kind of point it out, especially in situations where it's very, very overt. And it's also one of those very, very tricky things because sometimes when you do, they'll be like, what are you trying to say? Who do you think you are that you think I am copying you that much? But then, like I said, in situations where it's very, very overt, or they respond to a situation that is not in any way competitive as if it is a competition, those are situations where you call it out and be like, I don't understand, but I'm not competing with you. Why are you saying it as if there should be a winner in this situation? Do you get? So I think I'm going to wrap this video up with this, but I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I really liked doing it for you guys. Give it a give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to me if you're not yet subscribed. I'll see you guys in my next one.